Good evening, Madam Chair and members of Planning Commission. My name is Lance Gloss, and I'm an Associate Planner with the City Community Development Department. Tonight we have a request from Mark Beckner and Kyle Berger for a rezone of 3 properties to an R2 or residential 2 dwelling units per acre zone district. The 3 properties are currently in the RR or residential rural, RE residential estate, and R1 residential 1 dwelling unit per acre zone districts, respectively. The 3 properties are located at 2576 Tahoe Drive, 2574 Tahoe Drive, and a small adjacent unaddressed parcel of 0.08 acres for a total of 10.86 acres to be rezoned. This is the site location map. 3 subject properties are located at 2576 Tahoe Drive, 2574 Tahoe Drive, and the abutting unaddressed parcel to the west. A flagpole of the property at 2574 Tahoe Drive extends north to G Road. All of these properties are accessed via Tahoe Drive. This slide shows a clearer aerial photo of the site, allowing us to see the improvements. The properties currently contain a single-family detached home at 2576 Tahoe Drive, which was constructed in 2003 and is anticipated to remain following the rezone if the rezone is approved. The properties also contain an additional structure at 2574 Tahoe Drive, which was constructed in 1958 and was until recently used to temporarily store and aggregate agricultural products for distribution for the business called Rooted Gypsy Farms, which now only performs agricultural activities on the property, having moved assembly and distribution off-site. The third unaddressed parcel, identified by Mesa County Tax Parcel Number 2945031000201, contains no structure, is extremely small, and is comprised almost entirely of an open drainage. These are the current lot line configurations, but a change in property lines is contemplated as part of the long-term development of the site. Specifically, following rezoning, the applicant intends to record a boundary adjustment involving the 3 subject properties as well as an additional property owned by the applicant, which is used for both agriculture and residential purposes with a single-family residence and greenhouse structure. However, that property at 2591 G Road is already zoned R2, and the boundary adjustment is overall not contemplated during this rezone process. This is a 3-dimensional satellite view of the subject properties. You can see the existing single-family residence at 2576 Tahoe Drive on top of the small hill at the top of the image, as well as the small business and storage structure at 2576 Tahoe Drive at the bottom of the hill. You can also see the pasture area and the open drainage, the stub street from the west called Tahoe Drive, and the proximity of the existing Valley Meadows North subdivision, which is zoned R4, which abuts the properties. This is the Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, which identifies the property as residential low, which has a range of half to 4 dwelling units per acre. The existing zone districts of RR, RE, and R1, as well as the proposed R2 zone district, are all in conformance with this residential low designation. This slide indicates the current zoning in the area. As you can see, the subject properties are adjacent to R2 zoning to the northeast and northwest. The Valley Meadows subdivision to the southwest is in an R4 zone district. To the south and to the north, properties are zoned RR. To the southeast, adjacent properties are zoned R1. And further to the southwest are residential subdivisions zoned PD, or planned development, with bulk standards that approximate an R4 zone district. No non-residential zoning is found in close proximity to the subject properties. Broadly, the purpose of the R2 zone district, to which these properties are proposed to be rezoned, is to provide areas for medium-low density, single-family and 2-family residential uses where adequate public facilities and services exist. Development regulations and performance standards in the R2 zone district are intended to make the buildings compatible and complementary in scale and appearance to a residential environment. New construction, including additions and rehabilitations in the R2 zone district, are required to be designed with residential architectural elements in mind and shall be consistent with the existing buildings along the street. The allowed uses of the properties under the current zoning, as compared to the proposed R2 zoning, would not be significantly changed, with some uncommon uses such as outdoor entertainment no longer being allowed should the properties be rezoned to R2. As ever, A zoning change would affect not only the subject properties, but also potentially impact the surrounding properties. To that end, a neighborhood meeting regarding the proposed rezone request was held on the 17th of September 2019 in accordance with the Zoning and Development Code. The applicants and city staff were in attendance along with an estimated 15 citizens, of whom only 8 registered on the sign-in sheet. Main comments and concerns expressed by the attendees centered on the anticipated increase in traffic through the existing residential neighborhood of Valley Meadows subdivision if the subject properties were to develop at their maximum density under an R2 zone district of 2 units per acre. It should be noted in response to this comment that the long-term development of these parcels will very likely be served by a more fully developed street network and would not rely solely on Tahoe Drive. Future connections include F3/4 Road, Galley Lane, and G Road. Further comments expressed and received have generally been related to the simple subdivision process or boundary line adjustment, which is being reviewed by the Community Development Department at this time, but which is not the subject of this hearing. Several neighbors did express concern with increasing the potential density of residential development on the subject properties, should a residential development of higher density be pursued in the future, which is directly related to the rezone under consideration today, which would allow for 2 dwelling units per acre. Other neighbors have indicated issues with dust, but this is also not directly related to the rezone. No neighbors at the meeting expressed explicit or implicit endorsement of the rezone. It did become clear at that neighborhood meeting that certain activities of the Rooted Gypsy Farms business, specifically the aggregation of agricultural goods produced off-site at this location, were not in line with the existing or proposed zoning. The applicants have therefore since worked out a conclusion with city code enforcement to resolve this issue and have done so successfully. Pursuant to Section 21.02.140A of the Zoning and Development Code, requests for a rezone shall demonstrate conformance with the following review criteria as identified on the slide. At least one criterion must be met. City staff found that 3 of the 5 review criteria have been met. First, that subsequent events have invalidated the original premises and findings. Both the applicant's proposed zoning of R2 as well as the existing designations of R1, RE, and RR are supported by the future land use map designation of residential low. Given that nothing has occurred to make the existing zone designations inapplicable or inappropriate, staff finds that this criterion has not been met. Number 2, the character and or condition of the area has changed such that the amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The general character of the area has remained relatively consistent for several decades. However, the Valley Meadows North subdivision was developed beginning in 2005, leading to the establishment of 22 single-family residences directly abutting the subject properties to the west. Prior to the development of this subdivision, the subject properties did not have an improved access to the public right-of-way. But development of the Valley Meadows North subdivision included the construction of Tahoe Circle and Tahoe Drive, which provide direct access to the subject properties. As a result, access to the subject properties has been greatly improved, and it is now more appropriate for an R2 zone district. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion has been met. Number 3, that adequate public and community facilities and services are available to the property and are sufficient to serve land uses associated with the R2 zone district. Land uses associated with the R2 zone district are primarily low-density and medium-low-density residential uses. These are supported by services from Ute Water, Persigo Wastewater Treatment, and XL Energy, Electricity and Natural Gas. No nearby transit service is provided, but commercial and employment opportunities such as retail offices and restaurants are proximate in location and found nearby along Horizon Drive and surrounding the intersection of Patterson Road and 25.5 Road. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion has been met. Number 4, that an inadequate supply of suitably designated land is available in the community. A large supply of parcels with R2 and similarly low-density residential zoning exists within the immediate vicinity of the subject properties. R2 is also one of the most prolific zone districts in the city of Grand Junction, with approximately 6.2% of parcels within the city zoned R2. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion has not been met. And 5, that the community and area will benefit from this proposed rezone request by creating the potential for residential land uses that are compatible with the surrounding residential land uses. The future land use designation of residential low contemplates a mix of low-density residential uses, which is equally implemented by the R2 as by the RR, R1, and RE zone districts. The community will derive benefits from the proposed rezone by creating an opportunity for the land to be developed with greater residential intensity in the future. Such development is not contemplated by the applicant as represented in the application at this time, but would be enabled by the rezone should it be desired in the future. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion has been met. In conclusion, staff again finds that 3 of the 5 criteria have been met. So, after reviewing the Augustine Blue rezone proposal, which is a request to rezone the properties located at 2576 Tahoe Drive, 2574 Tahoe Drive, and an adjacent unaddressed parcel, from RE, RR, and R1 zone districts to an R2, or residential 2 dwelling units per acre zone district, the following findings of fact have been made. That the rezone request is in accordance with all criteria in the Grand Junction Zoning and Development Code, including section 21.02.140, and that the rezone request is consistent with the vision, goals, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Therefore, City staff recommends approval of the requested rezone to R2. That concludes my presentation, Madam Chair. Thank you.